Greetings, everyone. This is the Maria Cozette Show, where the left brain meets the right. I have a fantastic guest today, exceptional entrepreneur, female leader in the beauty industry, makeup artist, educator. So please stay tuned for that interview. And of course, for any further information about the Maria Cozette Show, visit mariacozette.com. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're tuned in to the Maria Cozette Show, and I'm very proud to have this female on my set today. Very proud of all of her achievements. First a makeup artist, then turned into an educator and a very successful entrepreneur, Lilit Caradanian. Hello and welcome.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
Such a warm welcome.
Yes, of course. You deserve all the praise. So we're going to talk about all the wonderful things that you're doing. But first and foremost, let's discuss your professional and educational background.
My professional background was kind of mixed all over the place. I didn't know what I wanted to do initially when I grow up, so I tapped into several different things like building management. Ultimately, I landed in finance. I was a finance major at the Disney company. And during this entire time, I was doing makeup on the side. So it was just like a side job for me for such a long time. For actually 10 years, it was a side job.
Wow.
So I was still pursuing growing up the corporate ladder, but at the same time, doing makeup on the side. And then one day I decided that I want to do this full time because it was taking more of my time on the weekends than I was like 40-hour week during the week. So during this time, I also got my master's in business. So I kind of took what I learned in the corporate world, took what I learned from my master's degree. I knew makeup very well at that point. I kind of just combined it all and created basically what it is today.
Yeah, amazing stuff. And I emphasize that I am very proud of your achievements because I worked with you on set like a very long time ago, and just watching your growth as a professional is just amazing, and I'm so really very proud of you. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and especially because you're a female, you're a force to be reckoned with. It's good stuff,
It's come a long way.
Yes.
And honestly, I didn't know where I would be. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And it just, when you have a passion in something, I think it just like life paves the way for you.
Right.
And it just, doors just opened up in the direction that I was supposed to go in.
Yeah, you're headed in the right direction, needless to say. Yeah. And so when did you first embark on your passion and everything as far as makeup is concerned? So I know that you said it was a while back and you were doing it for 10 years, then you went full force, and we'll talk about your studio. But what first inspired you as far as makeup artistry is concerned?
Honestly, it was just a quick, fun thing that I did right after high school. So between high school and college, my friend and I decided to go to makeup school, and we thought we were going to go work at the movies and work on celebrities and be behind the scenes. But I was still working full time. I was still going to school full time, and my schedule never allowed that type of work. What it did allow me to do is do weekends, bridals, weddings, parties, because that's when I was available. So that's what kind of started to grow for me. And so, I was 17 years old. I just went to a makeup school for fun, and then here we are. 15 years later.
Crazy.
More.
Yeah. And so how has your MBA attributed to the success of your studio? From the very start, it just kind of took off very quickly. I mean, all of my viewers know you. But what's the story behind the launch of your studio?
The studio was something that I wanted to do for a while, but I didn't have, I guess, the guts to do because I had like stability. I was working at Disney. I had my 9 to 5. But I decided to do like one-day classes at Namie's Beauty Center, which I had worked at a few years ago before that. And I just did one-day seminars, and it was a success, and they wanted more. So I did another one, and I realized the demand was growing. And at the time, I was booking these classes months in advance, and I thought, okay, I can open my own place. Because financially, I knew what I was going to expect the next few months. I knew I had my students. I knew I had my customers. So I didn't jump into it blindly. I jumped into it knowing that I'm going to be comfortable for at least a year, because I was getting booked a year in advance at the time. So I was going to be comfortable with that. So my business, the master's in business helped in different ways as far as budgeting, marketing myself. I was on every channel you can think of, Facebook at the time, and then Instagram came up and I was right on it. I was just everywhere that you can think of. And I really just learned how to be able to combine all the things that I've learned, except accounting. That was one thing that just didn't stick with me, so I haven't accounted.
Like accounting either in my MBA program.
I died during those classes. But other than that, I enjoyed every part of my MBA, every class, every marketing, advertising, just even the learning about socials, like how to be able to market yourself with consumers and learning consumer behavior and leadership behavior. And those things helped contribute to me opening my own studio, and then eventually, having other artists at my studio. And we have 15 artists now, and they've also started to educate students as well. So it's kind of become a little empire.
Yeah, it has. It really has. Yeah. So you mentioned education, and I love that you started kind of translating your knowledge onto other aspiring artists.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that experience. Aside from the success of your studio, you voluntarily, decided you want to teach now. You had training involved, seminars, a plethora of things. So how was that experience?
That was amazing. It was a very rewarding, fulfilling experience. Yeah. I learned that I was my best educator. No matter how many, if you take classes, if you watch YouTube, if you just learn as much as you can, it's a great thing. But I also had 10 years of experience at that time, and I knew everything that you could possibly know about makeup. So I knew that I could provide what these students wanted. And I've gone to makeup school myself, and I learned what they teach you. I learned what they don't teach you. And so when I opened my school, I knew that I was competing against some of the biggest schools out there that have been around for decades, and I decided I have to be the teacher. And if I'm the teacher, then the people who are in love with my work will trust me in teaching them what I know.
Yeah.
And so I started to, I had one student, and I used that one student, and I promoted myself on socials, on Facebook, on Instagram. I would post day one, this is what we're doing, day two, this is what we're doing. And so IMATS came around. That was the first year I went to IMATS, which is the International Makeup Trade Show.
Right.
And I just propped up a chair and I started doing makeup, and people were passing by like, what is this? What are you selling? I was like, classes.
Right.
And so after that, I had 4 students, and then 8, and then 12. And then at that point, a year into it, I was booking out a year in advance again with my courses. So it was a great success, but I also believed in myself. And at some point, I became the #1 school in LA. So competition is only competition if you allow it to be. You know? And I just stayed focused, and I knew what I could do and what I could offer, and it just kind of rolled into what it was a year later. Yeah.
It's fantastic, really. Aside from being, a female leader in the industry, your tenacity, it's so admirable. You didn't settle with just, remaining a makeup artist, which there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's like when I'm a singer, but I never settled for that. I wanted more, and it's always very important to want more,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in self-growth, right? So we don't work for a corporate company where they're giving us raises and giving us promotions.
Right.
But we got to do that for ourselves, and we have to work hard for it because we are the ones that see the reward at the end of the day. So I think work ethic is probably the most important thing when you're trying to grow in any industry.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I didn't get lazy.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
You mentioned leadership. What are your thoughts on leadership and really just building the right team?
Building the right team, I feel like takes time. Because when you're starting something new, you don't know what you need. It's all trial and error, whether it's the studio, whether it's the brand. Anything you dip your fingers in is all testing waters until you kind of become a little bit more established.
Yep.
Then you can figure out, okay, this is the type of person that I'm missing. This is what I want.
Right.
This is a type of experience that I don't have that I need a consultation for. So it takes time to build the right team. As far as the studio goes, Most of the girls there are all previous students of mine, and there's a few girls that I would follow and I would, admire their work. So I reached out to them and said, look, I'd love for you to come work at my studio.
How cool. They were like, yes.
Yeah, they were excited. It was a great thing. There was not many makeup studios at the time. And I worked just as hard to help promote them, because if their name grew, then my name would grow, and we just kind of became this growing family.
Yeah.
And we support each other till today in every aspect. So, and as far as the office goes, like I said, you don't know what you need. I was like, okay, I'm having my own brand. I think I need an assistant, and you get an assistant, and then you're like, oh, I need a graphic designer and web developer. And then it just kind of revolves into the story eventually.
Yeah. And so now let's talk Elsie. So this is a fantastic product line that you've developed.
Thank you.
And it's gotten very popular. In fact, products are sold out all the time. Yeah, all the time, which is a good thing.
It's such a problem.
It's
a good problem.
It's a good problem, yes. And so what is the entire process as far as, product development, manufacturing, your formulas that you make? It's so cool. It's very interesting. So what is it?
There's a lot.
Yeah.
So again, I feel like my MBA did really help me with that, because you learn about manufacturing and the supply chain system and all of that. And again, I was doing makeup for such a long time. So taking these two, taking the business and taking the product itself and combining it only made sense to create a brand.
Right.
So when I first started, I had no idea where to start. Literally just Googled, cosmetics labs in LA. And so I met with several of them, I interviewed them, and I know product formulation so well because I've worked with every brand, every product for such a long time that anytime I would use something, I knew what I loved, I knew what I didn't like, I knew what changes need to be made in specific products. So when the lab would show me a formula, I already knew if it was a good one or not a great one. Yeah. And I learned that certain labs have certain expertise. They'll tell you they can do everything. Oh, you want lipstick, you want eyeshadow, you want blush, we can do it all. But ultimately, specific labs are specializing in specific things.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so if you go to a lab that makes lipsticks and ask for blushes, I don't know if they're going to be the best at that.
Right.
So you want to stick to labs that formulate the type of products that you want.
Right.
So initially I started with one lab, and now we're working with 7. I think about 7 from LA to Spain to Italy.
That's so cool.
So we're kind of, all over the place. I went to a convention. It's called Cosmoprof. I want to say about 2 years ago, and met with about 30 vendors over there. And what you do is you just go for a meeting every hour with the different lab.
Wow.
I mean, there's hundreds of them.
That's intense.
I've researched which ones that I wanted online before I made the appointment. Yeah, it's intense. So every hour you go into a different cubicle and they present to you what their capabilities are. And out of the 38, that's where I limited myself to the 5 that I loved and continued to work with them. So the process is long. I want to say it takes, if you're lucky, 1 year. To put a product on the market. I want to say normally it's going to take about 1.5 years.
Right.
And depends if you're working locally or overseas. There's import time, export time, lost in that area. Yeah. And so you have to make sure that, your product development. So I do my product development. I test all the products. I tell them what I want. Sometimes I'm in the lab watching them and making sure they do exactly what I want. So it's literally like just baking a cake, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how to build the ultimate cake, but I know what ingredients type of like need to be in there.
Yeah.
So they do that, and then you pick packaging. Packaging is exciting, but there's so much out there.
Wow.
So I kind of narrow down with the type of packaging that I want,
Right.
and I have a vendor who works with every packaging company in the world. So I tell them these are the type of bottles that I want. So they'll send you a dozen. You pick one.
It's good to have options, but it's stressful.
It's very stressful. So I'll give you an example. This was my first launch ever. This was our Microsilk foundation.
Right.
This was a perfume bottle. So it was glittery, it was blue, it was clear, it had a clear cap. The cap was actually a different shape. So when they sent me the bottles, I wanted a very unique bottle because everything was circle or square.
Yeah.
And so when I saw this, I was like, can we turn this into a foundation bottle? So we changed actuator, which is like the pump and everything, and came up with
Became
this
that.
after the decorations.
That's a very
and
popular
everything.
product.
Yeah, yeah.
I get so excited when I go to, let's say, like a hair salon or something. I'm walking by the makeup artist setup, and I'm like,
You see it there? Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I love that product. They're
Oh,
like,
you're awesome.
I
Thank
swear
you.
by this.
Oh,
yeah.
yay, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's amazing. So let's talk about all this other stuff here.
Okay, so speaking of the foundation,
Yes.
it was my first launch, and until today it's a hero product for us.
Yeah.
So 4.5 years later, it's still a product that we can't keep on the shelf. It was a unique formula that I thought I wanted something that my consumers can use without worrying about them being oily or dry. I want full coverage. I want light coverage. Is it going to sit in my pores? So I wanted a universal foundation.
Right.
And so I created one. I thought about airbrush makeup because I would airbrush my brides all the time, and that was like the most flawless coverage. I was like, how can they take airbrush home, put it on their face? So that's how we kind of started working with the formulation.
I see.
So we kind of took the airbrush concept, put it in a bottle, and made it a really thin formula, but again, very buildable,
Right.
which is exactly like how airbrush makeup normally is. And so when we launched that, this was in January at IMAS 2015, and about 7 months later exactly, I was on my honeymoon, and my emails were going crazy, and my phone was blowing up. I was like, "What's happening?" So Jaclyn Hill, who is a very, very big influencer, had purchased the foundation, had raved
Wow.
about it, and I had no idea at the time who she was because I wasn't part of the YouTube world. And so we sold out of several shades literally overnight.
On your honeymoon, it's perfect.
It was perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone was on vacation. It was a long weekend, July 4th weekend. No one's in town. And I'm like, oh my God.
Wow.
Perfect timing because
Yeah.
I'm not in office for a week. So, it was a blessing in disguise. But
Right.
So that kind of put us on the map with our foundations. And then that same year we won a Cosmopolitan Award for Best Foundation of the Year. So
Beautiful.
It was a beautiful start.
Yeah.
And then we transitioned into more skin products. I'm a big believer in skin. If your skin looks good, chapstick, mascara, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So I focused a lot on skin, and I still do. So we launched the Glow Enhancer, which is like a shimmery dry face oil. J-Lo was my inspiration behind this.
She's always glowing.
She's always glowing.
Yeah.
But again, consumers are confused. Oh, adding luminous foundations. Well, it's not for everyone because you
Right.
can look oily or it's just not fitting for the skin. So a dry face oil that will work on any skin, but still
Nice.
has a little bit of shimmer to give you that glow.
Right.
Then we did a primer after that, and then we did the Hydra Enhancer, which is like a hydrating setting spray.
Right.
And then the following year, we worked on a lot of color products. So this was our first eyeshadow palette, which is just like a neutral
I love those shades.
5 shades. So these
Yeah.
5 shades were the only 5 shades I would always restock on
Right.
with different brands in my kit. So, colorful shadow palettes, you have fun with them,
Yeah.
but I always needed a brown and a nude and a transitional color,
Right.
and a black. So I created these 5 shades that, again, my consumers can take home and do their makeup without any errors.
I literally use like probably 3 shades. Again, I
Yeah.
like to have fun sometimes, but I mean, those
on
are
a regular
like,
basis, or when you're trying to build a makeup look, these are still essentials. These are still the base colors
Absolutely.
to all of that. And again, they have super amazing quality, great formula. I mean, these 5 shades you would never think took me a year, but I was just not happy with
Wow.
the fallout. I wasn't happy
Yeah.
with the gray undertone. I wasn't happy with how it's flaking off. So it took
I love
a long
that you're
time.
meticulous.
I'm
Yeah.
very meticulous with my products, and I think my customers know that because
and I'm sure they appreciate
they
it.
do,
Yeah.
and they always send messages and like, I tried your product, I love it. I just tried your new product. I trusted it and it worked. And
Right.
we can tell that you put a lot of time into it. So that means a lot to me. And so we have an entire line now. We have everything from eyeshadows, shimmers. We just
Amazing.
launched our lip lacquers.
I know, I saw that.
glosses.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. It was our first lip launch 4 years later.
Wow.
So it was just something that for me, I was kind of building a story with my brand,
Yeah.
starting with, because I'm a big believer in skin, like I said, so starting with flawless face and then putting a little bit of mascara to brighten up your look and
Right.
a bronzer to give your skin some color and things like that. So everything I've done has built a story. That's why I did the lips last, because I felt like we're always having fun with lips,
Right.
but we'll change it up. But I wanted a lippy that is very true to our brand and unique in formulation. So.
Yeah. So clearly you have a lot to do with and have a hand in everything that you develop, which is a beautiful thing because not a lot of people do.
Thank you.
So, yeah, it's all made with love, like literally.
Definitely.
Yeah. So is this the same and has it held true throughout your entire career? Have you always had a hand in your marketing and branding of your platform?
Yes, from day one till today.
Yeah.
I get a lot of feedback from professionals that say, you should hire someone to do this stuff and not waste your time on this and just tell them. But because I was an artist for such a long time, no one's going to know better than me
exactly
what it needs to feel like, what it needs to work, how it needs to work. It's just I can't be hands off of it. I'm so passionate about makeup. Obviously, I did it for 15 years. I'm passionate about creating my products and instilling my passion in makeup in my products.
Right.
And so I'm involved with the entire process. Every design you see on every bottle, yes, I have a graphic designer, but I told them I want it an inch higher, I want it an inch lower, I want the rose gold ring around it, or having this, it's such a simple concept, but having this be white and then this be rose gold, this be cursive. Nice. I literally sketched this out on a paper and I was like, this is what I want it to look like.
You're so cute. I love that you did that.
Even the when we launch it, the marketing concept.
Right.
Again, the minimalist eyeshadow palette. The whole point was you can go from day to night look. So the whole campaign was a girl with minimal makeup, same girl with dramatic makeup, same palette, two completely different looks. And so it kind of goes hand in hand with everything because I have a story with each product.
Right.
And the only way I can express or portray that story is if I'm involved with the entire process.
Yeah.
It may be annoying to my employees, but at the end of the day, we're all happy with the results. So
I'm sure you're an inspiration. I mean, all of the artists that are at your studio, people brag about them all the time, and those are people that you've helped build. So I'm sure you're an inspiration to many. So don't worry about them being annoyed. Yeah, it's like having
they have to deal with it, whether they like it or not.
Yeah. I'm sure you've been an outstanding teacher. And so, I ask this particular question to every guest, but and the question is why it's important to have a creative outlet. However, you're unique in that you've actually transformed your creative outlet into multiple entrepreneurial ventures. Yeah. So what I would ask you is why you think it's important to pair business acumen with creativity, and how has creativity really impacted your life?
I think it's very important if you're getting into business, because every business, unless you've come up with something so unique that has never existed on the market, and even then you need a marketing direction with that. But there's millions of cosmetics brands on the market. So how is yours going to stand out if you don't have creativity to make the product beautiful, to tell the story the right way, to be able to market it with a specific campaign that explains your story.
Right.
So you have to have a creative outlet when you have a business, and it could be anything. I'm sure this is the same with cars. I'm sure, even if you're selling insurance, there's so many insurance companies out there. How are you going to be creative to make your insurance company stand out?
Yeah.
Are you going to collaborate? Are you going to network with people in your community or people who love cars, or in any field? So I think it goes hand in hand. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what advice would you give other artists that want to expand their reach, solidify their platform, and be more than artists?
I think you have to figure out what direction you want to go in first. But if you don't know yet, like me, I didn't know what direction I wanted to go in. I was doing everything. I did that your photo shoot, which was a very creative. So I'm a bridal makeup artist, but you said, hey, we have this creative shoot. I'm there.
And your mom was there.
And my mom was there doing your
hair. Amazing. Yes, that photo shoot, I still remember it.
It was fun. It was so fun for me because, again, that was creative for me, because bridal for me was like, yes, I love doing this, but like I want some creativity. So I would jump into opportunities like that I can be creative in. So I did that. I would do networking and random photo shoots and meet different people. So networking is really important, and just being everywhere, not being lazy. And when I say lazy, meaning you don't just do makeup and then you wait around to see who's going to notice you.
Right.
You have to market yourself on Instagram, on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere that there's an outlet, you need to be there promoting yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Especially today, it's so easy. When I started, there was no social media. It was
I
all
know.
word of mouth.
I know.
So I wouldn't say no to a single client, and I would work sometimes from 4 a.m. to 9 p.m. Without a single break. And if you want to be able to pursue your career in your passion, then I'm not about the starving artist thing. I mean, look at you. You're a musician. You're teaching. You're going to school, right? You have to do it all.
Yeah.
Until you can figure out, okay, well, this is what I want to do.
Absolutely.
So for me, I was thinking, I'm not going to just quit my day job and go do makeup. I did it on the side for 10 years until it came to a point where I was like, okay, I'm working literally 40 hours on the weekend. I can't do both anymore.
Right.
And I have to let one go, and let the cubicle go.
Yeah.
That was not my passion
and I feel
anymore.
like because if you do give up one thing completely, all of those things make you who you are, and they feed into one another. So imagine if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't have the business acumen you have to go
drive.
on to. Yes, absolutely.
Or the drive.
Yeah.
Because, yes, it's great because you will have your own time. You have all this time to market yourself and do all these things. But again, if you need to make a living, you're going to give up on that passion of yours because you need to go back to your paying job.
Right.
So it's really important to be able to balance the both and double work until you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is getting busy. Maybe I can do part-time here.
Yeah.
And maybe I could do freelance here. And then slowly but surely you'll get into
your thing.
Yeah.
I love it. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
This
it's
was
my
great.
pleasure. Yeah, absolutely.
Good seeing
great.
you.
Good seeing you too. I love your humility and everything.
Thank you.
Yeah, and best of luck with everything you're doing, although you don't need it. It's all going in the right direction, Lilit.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stay tuned for more of the Maria Cozette Show. Know the Greats, where we spotlight a legend. The first animal protection group in the United States was the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, known as ASPCA. It was founded by legendary Henry Bergh in April of 1866. Born in 1813, Henry Bergh attended Columbia College in New York and left before completing his degree to tour Europe for 5 years. During his stay there, he witnessed a great deal of animal abuse. In England, he met with Lord Harrowby, who bestowed upon him the mission to dedicate the rest of his life to ending animal cruelty. Once he returned to the States, Henry founded the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and as president, refused financial compensation. What a man. While Bergh and his wife provided initial funding, they were requested to meet an old man in a hospital nearby by the name of Louis Bonnard, who decided to leave a fortune to the society. Under Bergh's leadership, ASPCA involved itself in a wide variety of issues, including slaughterhouse practices, animal transportation, care of horses, dogfighting, and the abolition of use of live pigeons in shooting matches. The ASPCA is now a national leader in animal rescue and protection, working tirelessly to put an end to animal abuse and neglect. To date, they have rescued over 47,000 animals and contributed to the overall betterment of the precious lives of animals. What a great legacy to leave behind, Mr. Henry Bergh. Now that's a legend. The Art of Giving, where we spotlight a charitable organization. Did you know that donkeys are very strong and intelligent? They have incredible memory and can recognize areas and other donkeys they met up to 25 years before. Unfortunately, we humans take advantage of these beautiful animals, overworking them in poor conditions without proper food, water, or shelter. Peaceful Valley Donkey Rescue has rescued over 10,000 donkeys and cares for 3,377 and growing. It is the largest donkey rescue organization with 49 locations across the U.S. and works to save donkeys from abuse, providing sanctuary as well as risk management in cases of emergency. PVDR's main rescue and rehabilitation facility is located on a 172-acre in San Angelo, Texas, which currently holds about 1,000 donkeys at a time. Originally, the organization began in the northern corner of Los Angeles County and later moved to a larger facility. Peaceful Valley Donkey Rescue and Lost Meadows Mule Refuge work closely with many agencies in the rescue of abused, neglected, and abandoned donkeys. PVDR has performed rescue work in 33 states. They have strict adoption policies to ensure donkeys find good homes. However, anyone can donate. In fact, my mom is a monthly donor. So visit donkeyrescue.org. That's a wrap for the Maria Cozette Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. And of course, much love to my guest today, Lilit Caradanian. I loved having you here chatting. We needed to catch up anyway, so where better to do that than on the Maria Cozette Show? And of course, for any further information, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram. We always have exclusive footage and stories and photos, everything on there. And of course, to get in touch with us, email info@mariacozette.com. Always remember, everyone, stay creative. I'm out.